The Los Angeles Clippers were the laughing stock of the league when they made one of the most idiotic trades, in most people's opinion, by getting James Harden. But after a few wins, it looks like it's starting to click. Let's talk about it. Listen, if you're new to the channel, this is P.kidd. This is P.kidd Talks NBA. You know what it is. You know what you clicked on. Let's get into it. The Clippers right now, although it is the San Antonio Spurs, they have made some particular moves that seem to be working and moving things in the right direction. Now, I know this can be somewhat premature, but you have to be excited if you're a Clippers fan in regards to, hey, one, your stars are playing well. They're starting to click, they're starting to gel, and people are kind of falling in line with things. For instance, late last week, we heard that Russell Westbrook was willing to go to the bench unit for more continuity, things of that nature. Russ is really starting to buy into his role on that particular team. Now, does that make him less than? No, not really. He still has a very important role. In fact, he can start playing that Ginobili role for the Clippers if anyone really. I know there's some people who probably watch some of this content that were like not really adults when Ginobili was like tearing up the league, but Manu Ginobili was a legend on the Spurs. Most people thought he was a starter. He was six man, came off the bench. Anyway, long story short, Westbrook can play that role for the Clippers, and it actually may be the best thing because realistically, James Harden is starting to show why he was leading the league in assists again. James Harden last night had one interesting stat line, and I thought it was interesting for a couple of reasons because I always wondered if we would get the James Harden that is a system that was going to average about a 53% usage rate or things of that nature because he wanted to get back to that style of play, or were we going to get the James Harden that was part of the reason why the Sixers were where they were, lead the league in assists and things of that nature? We may not like it, but it was good basketball. He played good point guard play. Well, that's the James Harden that we're getting. And realistically, it's actually looking pretty good. James Harden had a double-double, 13 points, 10 assists, and everyone else around him was eating. Paul George, as you can see from the thumbnail, had a heck of a night, 28.6 assists, 5 rebounds. But ultimately, you saw just everyone get involved. Now, mind you, this was a blowout game, so obviously some people's numbers are going to be a little inflated. I am a huge Daniel Tice guy. I thought he would have been really good with the Bulls if they had kept him. Don't know why they didn't work out, but it didn't. He goes out in his game with the Clippers after they pick him up, which, by the way, heck of a move to grab him because now he provides them with a level of depth that they didn't really have at that power forward position. And he comes in at 19 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 assists. Instant impact right there. Now, again, this was somewhat of a blowout game against the Spurs, but to see how they were able to do it, how they were able to dominate it, it actually gave me hope for this Clippers team because no one ever questions whether or not these individual players are great. They question if they can be great together. And these games, although you would say, hey, it's not the Bostons of the world, but these games, and when they can start building that continuity, they can start building that whole relationship with each other where they can actually start learning each other's games and knowing where to be and things of that nature. When they can actually start building that type of synergy, matter. And it matters a lot. And they can build upon this in ways that, most people just won't give them credit for. While I understand it's a little premature, just a little bit. I like the way it's trending. And I like the fact that in any given night, you can have Kawhi Leonard highlights, which there are a lot of them from this particular game, while Paul George is out there getting you darn near 30, while James Harden gave you a double-double, 10 assists, and Russ still was able to play his game to some degree as well. There's a way for everyone to eat. And I think this is a testament to a couple of things. One, it's a testament to Ty Lue. Ty Lue has been through a lot as a coach. He inherits this team. They're primed to do something great. And then he's load managed the heck out of that team last season. A lot of that had nothing to do with him. You can kind of hear from in interviews that he's done that he wasn't a big fan of that, but also some of that wasn't his decision, nor was it some of the players' decisions as well. That's a different story for a different day. But the one thing I've always appreciated about Ty Lue is he's always found a way to get the most out of this particular team. And this time, he may have the right set of people and there's people who will buy into him in the circumstances to allow him that even if one person is not available, even if two people are not available, they still have enough firepower to actually get something done to carry this team and make noise in the playoffs. I will say this. They're not my favorite to win the finals. They're not even my favorite to be in the Western Conference Finals. But if they got there, I wouldn't be surprised. And I actually will be elated that Ty Lue, specifically, I'm going to say Ty Lue, and Paul George were able to work something out with the rest of this collective to finally be in a situation where they win a championship with this group. I think Ty Lue was a heck of a coach who inherited a team that got a bad rep. And I would love to see him overcome a lot of those things and really prove that he is the type of talent that I know he is. And most people give him that respect. But you still have some people out there who will say that Ty Lue was not on the level of a Steve Kerr. And I think that that's cap. I think Ty Lue is absolutely, as a basketball mind, can be on that same level. Can be. I'm not saying he is now, but can be. I know Steve Kerr comes with a longer pedigree, but they both were former players. But but Steve Kerr did have more winning experience, especially, and he played with the GOAT Michael Jordan. So, I mean, like, he has a lot more back there. But I will say, as a coach, I think Ty Lue has the opportunity to supersede and be better than his contemporaries, other coaches who have played, like the Jason Kidds and things of that nature. And I just want to see him win. But ultimately, Paul George being one of my favorite players, especially since Kobe, Paul George was, I mean, realistically, this is not just because he has his podcast and they say it. I always felt like there was nothing Paul George couldn't do. And I always was like really enthralled with his game. I would love to see him have the opportunity to win a chip. And that would, to me, would be like the perfect icing on the cake for someone who had such a promising career, had this disastrous injury, came back, played MVP level basketball, and win a championship. I think they'll just encapsulate that so well. He's just one of my favorite players. I'm showing a little bias there, but again, at least you know I'm not totally biased because I wear a Bulls hat. I rep the Bulls. At least you know I'm coming from a sincere place and saying that I love good basketball and people who play the game of basketball well. Paul George is one of them. But I want to hear your thoughts, man. I want to hear your thoughts on where you think these games, even as lopsided as this one was in this blowout, how they can build upon this. How you feel about the Daniel Tice pickup? I think that, again, I didn't go in depth to that. I didn't go in depth enough about that, mainly because the name in itself doesn't get that many views, if I'm being honest. But I think that was a huge pickup. Huge pickup for them. Give me your comments on that. Let me know how you feel about that. And ultimately, let me know how you feel about the new changes they're making to the roster and what they can, what can potentially come out of it. Again, whether it's left, whether it's hate, put it in the chat. I'll be in there with you. Peace.